Welcome to another edition of eYe Education. I'm your host, Ed Leishus, and today we'll be talking about programs at what I like to call a hidden gem here in Nashua, the Adult Learning Center, formerly at the Crowley School on Lake Street. Some people may have heard of it, but it's been there for a number of years, and it offers an extensive variety of programming and assistance to adults. And joining us today is Sarah Lemley, the Director of Adult Education. Sarah, welcome to eYe Education.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we're glad that you were able to find some time to get away because you're very busy.
Indeed.
And you've only been there a short period of time. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to the Adult Learning Center.
Sure. So I live in Milford, New Hampshire. I always make that distinction because I was actually born in Milford, Massachusetts. That's where I was born and raised. So.
And there is a Milford, Connecticut.
There is. So apparently those are the only towns I live in. But no. So the first part of my career was spent with the DoD. I was a program manager. Once I had some kids, I wanted to do something a little different. Always wanted to be a teacher. So I went back to school to get my ESOL teaching certification. Taught K-12 ESOL in Milford, which their numbers are small enough in teachers that we actually bounce from school to school. So I literally was teaching kindergarten in the morning, grade 12 in the afternoon. Wanted to try something a little bit different last year, so went to the Adult Learning Center. They had a part-time position teaching adult ESOL, and I loved it. Man, the difference between teaching kids and adults, and I loved my kid students, don't get me wrong, but there's something about adult students, that passion and energy as soon as you walk in the door just sucked me in. So when a full-time position became available there, I went for it and I got it, and here I am.
And here you are today.
Yeah.
How challenging is it for the group that you're now teaching? Because they come from varied backgrounds, varied ethnicities. What are the challenges there?
Absolutely. So we have two big programs. We have ABE, which is our adult basic education, and ESL, which is our English for second language. Some people say ESOL, English for speakers of other languages. And they have similar challenges and different challenges. So both groups of adult learners, I always like to say, adult learners come with adult responsibilities, right? There's always a much different approach when you're teaching adults because you realize that they're juggling jobs, sometimes more than one, responsibilities of keeping a house, taking care of children or family members. So those challenges are universal. When it comes to our ESOL population, you've got the added stress and challenge of not even being able to speak the language. Just coming in to register can be a very stress-inducing activity for these folks. So we try to make the whole process as simple as possible. We have staff who speak other languages. We use tools like Google Translate and other tools to be able to help these people access the content as much as they can and make it as easy as possible, even though it is a very stressful thing to do.
And I think one of the other challenges I would think, many of these people that are coming to you don't have the family connection here with them because they've come from other countries, other areas. And as you say, they may be working jobs or have children and homes to. So really the odds are against them, but yet you guys find a way to make it work.
Absolutely. We recognize that lack of support that you mentioned is a huge barrier for our students, right? When you're a child learner, you have these built-in support systems that simply don't exist for adult learners. And we really try to close that gap. We have counselors, both that help in the enrollment and educational path, but we also have career and college navigators that if our students want to move on past the experience at the Adult Learning Center, we can help them do that. I was going to say our doors are open. They're technically locked all the time, but we are open for appointments at any time, and we encourage our students to come see us about any and all issues, whether it be class-related or not.
Now, how long does your programs run? Is it for a year? Is it like a school year, 180 days?
Good question. Yeah, so our big enrollment is in the summer for the fall, and then it runs for the school year, right? We follow the Nashua district calendar for the most part. We also offer summer classes. So we really offer year-round programming. We do have students re-register for the summer program and then again for the following school year, but they can keep coming as long as they want to, and we continue to test them to measure their progress, and they always amaze us with the gains that they make. It's just incredible.
Now, how are you guys funded? Do the students pay tuition? Do you get grant? I mean,
it's a good question.
What makes it go?
So luckily, our students, we are able to offer this to our students at no cost. So we are grant funded by the Bureau of Adult Education. An interesting point to note is that the cost per pupil of our adult students is only $590 compared to $10,000 for an elementary student. So, we're definitely underfunded, but we make it work.
What's a typical school day like?
So the classes are offered either 2 or 3 times a week, in the morning or in the evening, for 2 hours a day. So either 9 to 11 in the morning or 6:30 to 8:30 in the evening. And it's what we call full immersion English for the most part, right? Every now and then we'll have to translate something little. This is for the ESOL side, obviously. But it's learning English in context, right? So it's not just rote vocabulary and copying sentences. It's practicing things that our students need in their everyday lives. If we know a student works at Walmart, for example, we practice what it's like to give a customer directions to a product that they're looking for. So we want to make sure that we're giving them the life skills that they need outside of just English vocabulary. Now, for our ABE students, these are our students who are coming to us to practice for the HiSET test. So a lot of people know GED. HiSET is similar. Mm-hmm. We opt for HiSET because it's 5 test areas as opposed to 4. They break out reading and writing. And these students are coming to us because they weren't able to finish their high school degree, and they want to come back as adult learners and get that degree and move on from there.
And I would think over time, friendships are made and developed that ease that transition from wherever they're coming from into the program, and ultimately they have success.
Absolutely. I mean, the family environment that this place has is unparalleled. We have big Thanksgiving feasts, and a lot of times I'll tell students, you don't have to bring anything, just come, but everybody is so excited to share their part of the world with everyone, and that's both ABE and ESL students alike. We also have a really extensive volunteer program. I think we have something like 90-something tutors right now who help students on their schedule. So for students who can't come to a formal class, they will meet them on a Sunday if they need to, and work on whatever particular area that student needs help working on. And the relationships that they build is just, it's so beautiful.
And I imagine the customs and traditions that are gleaned from these interactions socially, another help for them to adjust, because I would imagine, and maybe you don't know, but the majority of your enrollment mm-hmm. are newly situated people in Greater Nashua?
Yes, so when we're talking specifically about our ESOL population, just to give you some numbers, we have, I believe the last count was 998 active students, so we're just shy of 1,000. And about 85% of that is our ESOL program. And yes, you're right, most of the students who are coming to us, we pre-test them, and they're at that basic beginner level, having just arrived here. But again, like you said, the social interactions that occur from just that happening, they immediately have people in the area that they know, whereas they had no one before. Another really cool thing we just started is a workplace literacy program. So we've actually partnered with local area hospitals to bring English classes to the workers of the hospital. So the food service and hospitality workers there, we actually have our teachers go and teach them in between shifts, so from 2 to 4. So to catch that first shift and the second shift coming in, they teach English to the staff right then and there. And what the hospital employees noted to us is that yes, they saw that their English improved, but more than that, they saw that their sense of belonging improved. They said that to us without us even asking. They noted that right away, that the sense of belonging for these people was immediately noticeable.
And that's going to ultimately breed success, because the more comfortable they are here, mm-hmm. The better it's going to be. And do you find that many of them have been in the country, or are they recent arrivals to the U.S. and the Nashua area?
I would say it's both, right? So we have students who, will be surprised to hear that they've been here for 10 years, and you're like, oh my goodness, how are you still testing so low in English? And these typically are students who came with a lot of family, right? So they never necessarily had that need to branch out. My favorite are the grandparents who come to learn English just so that they can speak to their grandchildren, right? They're not trying to go back to school. They're not trying to do anything with their careers. They're retired, but they want to be able to speak to their grandchildren. So we have the whole gamut.
Brings us to the point is, why is adult education important?
Yeah, I think it's really important for the community to understand that adult education decreases unemployment and increases economic stability, right? I think if we really take those two things and really understand that community-wide this is a beneficial thing, research shows that graduates of the GED program see a wage earnings increase of $9,000. And for every $100 of instruction, $10,000 in wage earnings. And my favorite little anecdote is that the #1 determinant for a child's academic success is their mother's literacy rate. So talk about breaking that intergenerational, cycle of poverty. It's just, the benefits are so far-reaching that it's even hard to imagine.
Now we talk about these people who are fairly new here, don't have the family connection that a normal family would have that's born, raised, and grew up here. What if they have young children? Do you help them in that area? Is there anything over at the Adult Learning Center that
Good
comes
question.
into play there?
So we do have, and this is where I hate this part. We have a daycare, but it is a full-time daycare that people need to pay full-time for. So it's not a drop-in daycare, unfortunately. We do try to hook them up with other daycares in the area if they need that support. But some of our parents aren't necessarily looking for a daycare, but they can't come to class because of the responsibilities of taking care of a child. So we offer online classes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. What are some of the other challenges, the bigger challenges that you face in the programs there?
I would say we've talked about limited English proficiency. We've talked about that lack of the support system. I think for a lot of our students, it's the fear of failure, right, and lack of self-confidence. Even just getting started can be really scary. A lot of people didn't have great experiences in school, and that's why for our high-set students, maybe they didn't finish their education. Or for our ESOL students, that fear of, I'm going to come in and I'm not going to understand anything. How is this going to go? That's really scary. So we really just try to support our students in any way we can. I think a lot of people don't fully understand the benefit of adult education. So when it comes to explaining the importance to the community, that can get a little lost in translation. Luckily, that doesn't impede what we do right now, but who knows?
And I'm sure that for those who have been in this area for a while, they've gotten their education, and they just assume that everybody has an education, no matter where they come from. Mm-hmm. But that's not necessarily so, because in some of these countries, it's not a big deal for women to become educated.
Right.
Just the man.
Yep.
Or it's very limited in what's offered, and they really don't maybe get beyond elementary school level from where they're coming from. But
exactly.
It's important.
Absolutely. And we see students who have no literacy in their home language whatsoever. So, talk about starting from zero. You can't even use, written translation because they don't even know how to read in their home language. But we also see students who were, established professionals in their country, and they can't find a job anywhere here because they don't have those English skills.
Before you got into your current position, you were doing counseling.
Yes.
What was the biggest concern that you saw as a counselor, somebody coming in?
You know what? I think it's the wanting to fit in overall. So many students were so concerned about how they were being looked at by other people in the community. I would have people tell me that when they go to the deli counter at the grocery store and they want to be able to just order some ham, and they have difficulty doing that, so they have to use their translator app, and they feel so uncomfortable about that interaction. And for some people, it's just that not wanting to feel othered, right? Is just...
So the simplest of things sometimes that we take for granted.
Right, exactly.
It's amazing. What do you say to someone, or what advice would you have to anybody watching us today who's thinking about, well, maybe I should, but they're kind of hesitant because, well, my English isn't so good, or I can't even speak English.
Right.
What would you say to them?
I would say the fear of the unknown is always so much worse than the reality, right? So when it comes to starting something like this, I know that fear personally. So I studied abroad in Spain. So I know what it's like to go somewhere and not be a native speaker of the language. But once I got there and I was immersed in it, this isn't so bad. I went back to school as an adult myself, and the idea of, can I handle the work? Am I going to be able to do the schedule? It was so nerve-wracking, and you get yourself in such a fit over it. But then when you're actually in it, and especially looking back at it, you're like, that was nothing. My student recently, I loved this. She was an ESOL student who has graduated the ESL program, and now she's looking to get her LNA. And she was telling me the other day that her friends and family were laughing at her and saying, you can't do that. Your English isn't good enough. You couldn't possibly do that. And she said to me that she said to them, so what? So what if I try and I fail? What happens? Did the police come get me if I fail? I tried, nothing. So what? I'll keep trying. What's the big deal? And I'm like, you're right. The police are not going to come get you for trying and failing. Keep going, You
mentioned LNA. What are some of the other areas that you prepare these folks for that come through the Adult Learning Center?
Yeah, so we have something called an IET program, which stands for Integrated Education and Training. So right now we have some students doing that to get their childcare license. So they're learning English, going to school to get their certification, and doing on-the-job training all at the same time. We have students in a phlebotomy program. Right now, I think we're starting one up in automotive tech and medical assisting. So really wherever the community needs are, and we're constantly surveying our students saying, what is it that you need? What do you want? What field do you want help getting in? Medical coding was one that was another big one for a while. So wherever the need is.
And I do know every year they have a fair that's run that bring in various community groups, both resources and potential employers. And I participated in those in my other life, and it was amazing to see the diverse community that's over there and how they were not afraid to interact and ask about things. And, that's just kind of like the bow on the package to what you offer for programming.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, we did things a little differently this past year. We opted, instead of doing the big fair, to just have specific speakers and presenters come in, just to give it a little more of a one-on-one comfortable touch. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it's all over the place as far as the things that our students are interested in and what we hear from the community that they need in terms of employees. So.
Is there anything we missed in trying to, this short period of time, to try to re-educate those in the community who may not be aware of the Adult Learning Center? Even though it's been around, it's kind of a hidden gem.
It really is, and I describe it as just such a wonder. As soon as you walk in the building, the feeling that envelops you is just like no other. Everybody is so happy to be there. Everyone is so happy to be learning, and that's all they want. They want to be productive members of society, both ABE and ESL alike. That is their ultimate goal.
Well, you certainly exude the excitement and the professionalism that exists over there, and I do want to thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule to be here to share a little today. And if people are interested or have questions, how do they contact the Adult Learning Center?
Sure, we've got the website, NashuaALC.com, and there's all of our information there. So anytime, visit the website, call first before you come, but yeah.
And you're open Monday through Fridays?
We are, yes, and all hours of the day, and believe it or not.
And pretty much follow the Nashua School District calendar in terms of when school is. All right. Well, Sarah Lemley, the Director of Adult Education at the Nashua Adult Learning Center, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You guys are making a difference.
Thank you.
You've been watching eYe in Education. I'm your host, Ed Lecious. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.